This is huge for the Toronto Blue Jays, as it's no secret that the Jays need to extend Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Multiple new reports have dropped revealing that an extension could be coming, and not only that, but the price for what his extension could be has been revealed. And Jays fans are fired up about this, as in a very, very dark season this year. It's been brutal for Jays fans. One thing that could save the season would be a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension. So we're going to break that down and much more on this episode of Jays Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Jays Digest. I'm your host, Nick Gosse. The Jays do play today. They start a series, but we're going to be breaking down some Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rumors and some reports that actually dropped. And we made a video on this a couple days ago surrounding Vladimir Guerrero Jr., surrounding how he said publicly he wants to stay in Toronto, but we have multiple updates, and one from Jeff Passan, a very notable reporter that we're going to dive into, and basically gives not only an estimate on what number year, amount of money, contract he could get, but also whether or not it is likely. But before we do that, we have a quick message from our sponsor, NordVPN. And while it's no secret the Toronto Blue Jays have elite defense this season, it is important that you have elite defense against the harmful threats on the internet, and that can be done using NordVPN. And visit nordvpn.com/Jays to access internet privacy with a single click, even when you're not home. Using public Wi-Fi networks at shopping malls or airports can be very risky, but with NordVPN, your personal data is encrypted, providing a super simple and super easy way to protect yourself from the internet. And one of the best features as well is that sometimes you want to be able to watch TVs and movies that aren't available in your country. I know I've done that tons of times. And if you want to do that, NordVPN can spoof your location and you can watch different content from different countries very, very easily. And that's the best part about it. There's multiple use cases for NordVPN. And also another use case with NordVPN's special threat protection and dark web monitor, you get an extra layer of protection for good measures from unwanted malware on your device. So you'll be notified if your info ends up on the dark web. And the best part about all of this is that you can use our code nordvpn.com/Jays and get exclusive offers. That is nordvpn.com/Jays. So head over there and check them out to access your exclusive offer that includes 4 months free, along with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to you. So thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video, and let's get you back to the content. Thank you again to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Now, we have a lot to get into today. Now, let's just get right into it. Again, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he's the big hot topic as of late because the Jays, obviously, at this point of the season, they're not playing for wins necessarily. They're not playing to make the playoffs because they're too far out. That ship has long sailed. But what they are playing for is seeing the young guys play and building towards competing next season, with which John Schneider, Ross Atkins, and by all accounts, all reports have come out and revealed they are trying to do. And they can do that by building around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And we know the success of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been having as of late. We saw a couple days ago, Aaron Boone said he definitely doesn't like when Vladdy comes up. He's about as scary a right-handed hitter to face, and right now he seems to be in a very good place. And it's no surprise. All of us need to know. I don't need to tell you how good Vladdy has been. But there's some, again, you can see this here, 1700 OPS, like we discussed in the video a couple days ago. But of more importance, you can see this here, and this is from a couple days ago, but it kind of got lost in the shuffle amidst a bunch of different, whether it was trade deadline stuff and things like that. But here is what the contract could be looking like. So Jeff Passan went on the Blair and Barker show and said there will not be a first baseman getting a $300+ million contract, period. Now, this is actually pretty big news for a few reasons. Now, we obviously know that the Toronto Blue Jays have been in a spot where they were debating whether or not they should give Vladimir Guerrero Jr., or anybody for that matter, a $300 million contract. Now, Vladdy is the face of the franchise, but he's a first baseman, can play third base from time to time. His defensive value it's decent, but again, at first base, you're really going to handcuff yourself and handcuff your team if you're paying a first baseman $300 million. And Peter and I discussed it back and forth a couple days ago. We're thinking maybe you can reach $300 million. But Jeff Passan, the most notable reporter in the business, basically said, hey, that's definitely not going to happen. It's just not going to happen simply because, again, of the positional versatility. Now, this is, I guess, good news for Toronto Blue Jays fans because if he's confident in saying that no first baseman is getting $300 million, then, hey, this is fine. Maybe you give him however many years at 280, 290, something like that. He's going to want somewhere near $300 million. And he said publicly, which we'll get into in a second, that he wants to be a Blue Jay for life. But if he doesn't get offered, if he doesn't get offered close to $300 million by the Blue Jays, some other team will come out there and give him the money that he's asking for, because especially this season, he's been one of the best hitters in baseball, arguably the best first baseman in baseball. He's been an unbelievable, I would say, light, a tunnel that's been very dark for the Toronto Blue Jays this entire year. But this is a very interesting report here. No first baseman is going to get $300 million, period. So this gives some really good insight on how much money he will get. And the first time we've gotten kind of a concrete report about this. And Ben Nicholson-Smith was also asked about it. He said, based on every comment that Vlad Jr. has ever made publicly, it certainly seems like he's open to staying in Toronto. And basically, Ben Nicholson-Smith and Blake Murphy dove into the fact that at some point the Jays are going to have to offer him an extremely high amount of money. Now, whether it's $300 million or less is up in the air, even though, like Jeff Passan said here, he's not going to be getting, or no first baseman for that matter, is going to be getting a $300 million contract, which lends well to the fact that the Jays could go out and probably pay him close to $300 million, a decent amount, but not at that $300 million threshold. And then Ben Nicholson-Smith, a very notable writer, of course, for the Blue Jays, basically came out and said, hey, he wants to stay in Toronto. That's not a secret. We remember what he said. I would love to be in Toronto. My family loves Toronto. My kids love Toronto. But at the end of the day, it's a business. We all need to understand that. So whatever happens, happens. But I would definitely like to stay here. And obviously, we would like him to stay here too. He's having an unreal season, a 160 OPS plus, which is pretty incredible, especially given how the start of the season went for Vladdy, and where he really wasn't he was not hot to start the season, because maybe if he was hot to start the season, quite frankly, the Jays would be in a bit of a different spot. But he's been the reason that they're not 20 games below 500, among a couple other players like IKF that you happen to see on the accident screenshot there. But he said here, again, this was a couple weeks ago. Like I tell you, I'm a player, and if a team picks me or if they do something, it's because they need it, obviously, and I'll be happy to help any team. He said way back in June. But right now, I'm focused on helping my team try to get out of this bad streak. And this was way back. I remember we had a video covering it. But the point is, if the Jays don't pay him the money that he needs, then some team will. Now, whether that's the Jays, whether that's whoever it is, the Yankees, some team will pay Vladimir Guerrero Jr. close to $300 million. Now, again, he's not going to get $300 million from any team this offseason, according to Jeff Passan at least. But if they don't give him any contract close, and again, we all know that Vladdy is going to be a guy who's going to go out there and be decent every year. He had a couple of down seasons the past couple of years. He is having a really elite season this year. But I think at this point, even if the Jays, and I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comments, they need to pay him. If they have to give him $300 million, like on the dot or somewhere near that, I'm perfectly fine, because the alternative is you're building around a young core without a real superstar, and then you'll really be in a full rebuild mode. And we've seen Ross Atkins come out, John Schneider, all these guys come out and say they're trying to compete in 2025, specifically Ross Atkins. And for them to do that, they need to extend Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because he's the only way that they're going to have any amount of success over the next couple of years if they're trying to compete. Because if you're getting rid of your best hitter by far and one of the best hitters in baseball for nothing because you don't want to extend him, then you're at a point where, of course, it'll be very, very difficult. Now, Vladdy isn't a free agent next year, but the fact that you really want to get him locked up while you can, because if you're playing next season and beyond, but specifically next season with the contract on his mind, which is a very likely possibility at this point, where you're going out next season, he's a pending UFA after the year, and they don't give him an extension, and then he's ultimately turns into a UFA following next season, you're in a very, very rough spot. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. Some pretty good updates regarding at least the financial part of it, and it seems like an extension will be coming. We don't quite know yet when that will be. Probably by the end of this season, like during the offseason, is the most likely outcome according to these reports. Let me know in the comment section down below. See you soon.